Testing, testing. This is my normal speaking voice. Normal speaking voice. This is probably where I'll sit for most of the game. And then we'll do a little bit louder, very loud, nice and loud. Maybe a little bit higher than that, I think. But, yeah. Yep. This is my normal speaking voice. Normal speaking voice. Yep. Good afternoon and welcome to the Ilinden Sports Centre as we've reached the halfway point of the season. Round 15 of 30 is on the way and it should be a good one. A month ago, Rockdale would have banked this one as a near certain 3 points, but Sydney's last few games has shot them right up the ladder within touching distance of the top 6, and the visitors, or nominal visitors, come into good form and will fancy themselves on a pitch that they also call home. Should be a cracking game of NPL football for you as Rockdale Ilinden host Sydney FC. Will Constantinides here with you up in the gantry here in Rockdale, and it's a good old wintry afternoon of football here. Plenty of overcast, grey clouds in the sky, temperatures hovering around 16, 17, so we are starting to get the first signs of winter. Don't be deceived by all of yesterday's sunny blue skies from around the grounds. There's plenty of good action yesterday as well. It should be just as good with a slate of games kicking off for you today. This is one of 3. And without any further delay, we'll get you straight into the team news, starting first with Rockdale Ilinden. A 1-1 draw up at Cromer last week against Manly United, in which they found themselves down to 10 for the best part of an hour. Ali Orgler being sent off, which means he'll miss at least the next 2 weeks. It's been a difficult week for Ilinden as well. Aside from Friday night's draw to Manly, they were bumped out of the cup by League One side SD Raiders in a dramatic penalty shootout. I'm sure you might have seen some videos and scenes of that on your social media pages over the week, but it's now up to Ilinden. They won't have national stage football unless they make it to the National Second Division, the Australian Championship come end of year. They made the round of 32 last year and had that date with the Newcastle Jets. They'll have to do it through the league this year. So taking you through the starting 11 for Rockdale Ilinden. In goal is number 1 Nick Soros, 2 Hunter Elliott, 5 is Giorgio Speranza, 6 is Isaac Dunzo, 7 the captain, the main man, Alec Urashevsky, 9 is Moody Najjar, 10 is Brendan Chalakian, 14 is Braden Sorge, 18 is Jordan Gorowski, 22 is Blake Rashudo, and number 88, who continues his starting run in midfield, is Chris McStay. As for Jimmy Van Weer in Sydney FC, well, his boys have really come to life over these last 5 games. An undefeated streak in that time, which has meant 11 points from a possible 15, is just what his side has needed to kickstart a bit of a mid-season run up the ladder and away from any relegation chat that they were involved in the early part of the season. And that massive 5-0 result for them last time out in one of the shocks of the season, defeating Blacktown City by such a massive margin at Landon Stadium, and Alan Harbas hat-trick alongside goals to Tiago Quintal and Lockie Middleton. And the good news for Sydney FC fans is all 3 of those men are in the team today. So here's their starting 11. In goal is number 30, who kept a great clean sheet last week. Don't be fooled by his side's 5 goals. He was also just as busy. Gus Huffslett. Number 3 is Kyle Shaw, who continues his return to the NPL side. Number 14, Jared Middleton. 18, in good form, is Alan Harbas. 20 is Tiago Quintal. 21 is Zach DeJesus. 24 is Watairo Camijo. 27 is Lockie Middleton. 29, Joe Lacey. 33 is Myron Franz. And rounding out the side is number 37, Will Kennedy. Flicked up by Dunzo. McStay will try and win that in the air. Gorowski's come down with it here. He can flick it on up towards Chalakian. Jordan Gorowski, of course, replacing Ali Orgler in the starting 11 due to his suspension. That's a like-for-like change on the wing. Gorowski himself has had some good touches despite being so young. He's had some good opportunities that have been afforded to him by the Rockdale coaching staff as McStay able to recycle possession. Community sends it up towards Braden Sorge. Sorge usually a central defender. Perhaps might be more accustomed to seeing James Nikolowski or Matt Karamalewski back there. Sorge is such a versatile player. He can fill a lot of roles for Rockdale Ilinden. There's Alan Harbas, I think they're whistled for the foul. Sorge just assessing the options ahead of him. Looking long for Urashevsky up top. Sydney FC will have their hands full with the competition's leading goal scorer, bearing down on all-time greatness. Here's Ali Yurashevsky. 165 is the magic number that he'll need to get to. If he keeps going at his current rate, he'll get there before the end of the season. Prosciutto. Looking for McStay. He went to jump to try and use his head to control the ball and perhaps gave himself up a little bit there. Will Kennedy looking for options. Quintal is there in midfield for him. He uses Camijo instead. It's allowed to bounce. Harbas drops deep and it's flicked out wide by Lockie Middleton. DeJesus does well to keep it in. Does even better to find Joe Lacey. Turned over though. Dunzo is there. Orgla. Or Najjar, should I say. Well, one back by Moody Najjar. And as mentioned, this is technically a Sydney FC away game, but this is where they play all their home games at the moment. And they have done so for a couple of seasons now. So they'll be just as familiar with their surroundings as Rockdale are, save for a different change room. Gorowski does well to recycle possession with Elliott. The triangles played between him and McStay, but Sydney FC are able to win it back. Bouncing around in midfield, it's now chested down by Harbas. Danzo tries to help out Prosciutto, but it stays with Sydney FC and Tiago Quintal. And Harbas has pace to get behind the defence, and Kurt Ams immediately, no hesitation, and Sydney FC here are feeling that there might be perhaps a card in that challenge. Wataru Camijo and Tiago Quintal were immediately rushing over to our referee Kurt Ams, feeling that that should have been a yellow card. But again, Alan Harbas is showing why he's so highly touted. Despite his youth, he's such a physical presence up top, and he really punished Blacktown City last week. His pace and size was just too much to handle for experienced Blacktown City defence, and Blacktown have had their defensive frailties this season, but Alan Harbas and Sydney FC fully exploited them. And so now they have a great opportunity from a free kick here. This is the type of area that you'll practice them from in training. Harbas standing over it. Him and Quintal are engaged in lengthy discussions, but it looks like Harbas will be the man to line up. It's 4 in the wall for Saurus. Harbas goes through the wall. Good power on the free kick, and it had to be palmed away by Saurus. It's still bouncing around in the box. It might just fall kindly here for Sydney FC. Shaw is on the edge of the area, unable to put it through a sea of Rockdale Ilinden defenders, and eventually the home side clear their lines. Struck with real venom by Alan Harbas, just tried to force its way through the wall and into the back of the net. And Sydney FC definitely made a bright start. Quintal has DeJesus flanking him. Sydney FC with plenty of space to operate here on that right side. DeJesus looked in towards the penalty spot. Harbas was the intended target. Sorge got up for it though. Middleton able to keep the play going. Here is Harbas. Just couldn't quite get his intended power behind the ball there, but this has been a very positive showing from Sydney FC. To make it 6 games undefeated. And as they came into the round, they were only a couple points off the top 6 Sydney FC. Who would have thought that a month ago? taking a look at the updated ladder with yesterday's results. It still stands at just 2 points between them and Manly United. Of course, Sydney FC will have a game in hand as well, other than this one, on Manly. There's a whole host of teams really in this mid-table bunch. There's only 4 points that separate 6th from 12th. And that goes all the way down to St. George, who were in the top 6 not that long ago themselves. Meanwhile, Dunzo and Middleton battle in midfield. It's Sydney FC who win the better of that exchange, and now they can think about driving forward. Mara and France had an effort, but started lively as well. Sydney FC have definitely had more shots on goal, that's for sure. They've had a couple of good opportunities too. Conversely, down the other end, Gus Hussler hasn't seen all that much of it. Sure. See about going back to his keeper, and all this might invite trouble here with Gorowski lurking. And they have to get the timing right there. Jared Middleton was being tested by Gorowski. Juraszewski pressing again, and now he commits the foul. Much to his disagreement. Just a couple of nervy moments at the back there for Sydney FC. We know that Ilinden are a red hot side on the counter. They have so much speed and creativity, especially now with this realigned midfield, adding Chris McStay into the mix as well. It has meant that Lockie Constable has had to go to the bench, but it just goes to show how much depth is in this Rockdale Ilinden side, that you can have a player like Lockie Constable on the bench, as well as someone like an Ollie Pufflet. And when they do lose an Ali Orglar, they can bring on young Jordan Gorowski, a homegrown talent. McStay has his head up, puts his pass in between two Ilinden players, but it stays with Rockdale. Elliott and Will Kennedy on his back. He's in a race to get there before the line, and he does so. Mara and France looking on that loose touch of Blake Rashudo. Up goes Joe Lacey. Chalakian unable to get going in this game just yet. There's challenges flying everywhere. Good switch out wide. Zach DeJesus over there on that right side at right back. You might hear a few of the Sydney FC supporters who have made the trip. They're away to our left. Ilinden fans congregated on the right. Najar, chip over the top, and now he's at the byline. That'll be an Ilinden corner, their first of the game, as he was looking to try and rifle across in towards the near post in hopes that Alec Juraszewski would be there to tap it in. Doesn't need too much of an invitation, does Alec Juraszewski. That's what makes him so good. He can only get one chance in a game, but he will take it one way or another. He actually started the season somewhat slow by his standards. It's been in recent weeks that he's really picked up, scoring hat-tricks, braces and the like. As McStay stands over this corner. In-swinging right-footed delivery to come. It's towards the near post. Kyle Shaw heads it away from danger. And Mara and France will have to try and get this out of the corner here. There's not too many blue shirts ahead of him, and he's been bailed out by that foul, which means that Sydney FC can now build up without too much trouble. Kennedy drifting inside, looking for a bit of support in the Sydney FC midfield. Just over 10 minutes gone, but it's surprisingly been Sydney FC that have looked more comfortable here this afternoon. As DeJesus is looking down the line for Tiago Quintal, but that's far too close to Blake Rashudo. Well marshalled to intercept, and now he's got the tall task of trying to find his way through a tight crevice. in his own corner, and Sydney FC aren't going to make it easy for him. In the end, it'll fall out of play for a Ilinden throw. Sent up into the sky by Hoofslet. That'll just invite a bit of pressure here. Sent round the corner. And now Sydney FC are bursting forward. Quintal is on that far side. Looking back post potentially, and Saurus realised he was in no danger. Challenge there by Lockie Middleton, and Kurt Ames is going to have to try and keep a lid on proceedings here. A few challenges starting to fly in. D is barking out instructions to Giorgio Speranza. Sensing that Ilinden have perhaps found themselves on the back foot here where they might not have expected to have been. And Will Kennedy has crashed that ball into the fence. We know Ilinden, they're not a side that necessarily will dominate possession always. So it's perhaps nothing new that they've given up a decent amount of the ball, but I think what will concern Paul D and the Ilinden staff is that the amount of chances that they've given up, and at times Sydney have been able to find spaces. Usually Rockdale operate well to limit teams' opportunities even when they don't have the ball. As Hoofslet is going to have to be careful here. They're going to play out from their own box here, Sydney, but it's turned over. Najjar was there, but just couldn't get full control of the ball, and Sydney FC will find safety in the sideline. Dunzo goes through a couple of Sydney FC defenders and looking for Alec Yurashevsky in the box. Only the side netting. And it all came from a bit of midfield creativity from Isaac Dunzo. Just slalomed his way through 2 or 3 Sydney FC defenders with a couple of touches, and then had the vision to pick out Alec Yurashevsky. It was a tight angle for the Ilinden striker to try and make it work. Had a defender right on his back as well. Kyle Shaw was there applying some pressure. Speranza won it cleanly, said Kurt Ames, as Chalakian looking down the line for Najjar, who has pace to go at his man, Zach DeJesus. Low driven cross is sent out by Kyle Shaw. Ilinden to the second corner of the game. So Gus Hoofslet will have to get things in order for Sydney FC here. Ilinden in the last couple of minutes, we've mentioned how well Sydney FC have played. Now Ilinden have started to click into gear a bit more. McStay stands over the corner. This one a bit more deeper, and it's gone all the way in. Blake Rashudo, another headed goal for the Rockdale Ilinden centre back. A pinpoint delivery from Chris McStay. Gus Hoofslet came, but didn't get anything on it. And from there, Blake Rashudo all he had to do was head it into an empty net for his third goal of 2025. And he seemingly always finds a way to pop up with a goal, Blake Rashudo. And exactly what Ilinden would have wanted, which is their second corner of the game. Third goal in the league this season for Blake Rashudo. His last against Sydney United 58, that was in the 90th minute as part of a 3-1 win. Now Sydney FC will have to respond to this young side that have played so well, shown so much in recent weeks. Now find themselves down 1-0. Unenviable position against Rockdale Ilinden. Sydney FC looking to get going. Harbas, good touch to keep the attack moving. Harbas cutting it back. Edge of the area, it's sent away. Shot by France. Deflected away by Blake Rashudo, doing it at both ends of the pitch right now. Now their chance from the corner. Tiago Quintal over there to deliver. They go short, something from the training ground. Quintal receiving it back. Cross is deflected in towards Harbas, tried to put a strike. A half effort towards goal. Here is Camijo. McStay up to Chalakian, and now Rockdale Ilinden are potentially at the races here. Gorowski, blue shirt streaming backwards. Gorowski beats the first defender. A great challenge at the second attempt there by Joe Lacey. Got things just right. Ilinden throw deep in attacking territory. Stay to Dunzo. Ilinden now looking to keep things ticking over. 20 minutes gone here. Gorowski, ball in, only meets the head of Kyle Shaw, but Hunter Elliott is still there. Despite his best attempts, was unable to wrangle his way past Will Kennedy. Elliott heading it forward, presses the call from the Ilinden bench as Gorowski gets a good touch to it, and that'll please his coach Paul D. Ilinden can think about boxing them in here. Launched forward by Will Kennedy, and the wind takes it out of play. It was in and then out. Quintal went in a little high and a little late there on Hunter Elliott, and this will be Sydney FC have to defend this one quickly. McStay thought about going quick. McStay. Good ball in towards the penalty spot, cleared away by Harbas. Here is Quintal. Only as far as Isaac Dunzo. And Gus Huslett saw that all the way and was easily able to deal with that. Huslett playing it out. Lockie Middleton had to move it quickly there. You can just see what Ilinden are trying to do, trying to feed off some of these areas that weren't there in the first 10 minutes for Sydney FC, but since then have started to creep into the game more and more. One back by Elliott, well intercepted too. McStay thinking about the Route 1 option and straight onto the chest of Gus Huslett. There is a bit of a breeze about at the moment. It is actually blowing from left to right on your screen, which means it's at the back of Rockdale Ilinden. So a few of these long balls forward do have a bit of extra carry. We'll see if that plays a factor in the second half. With Sydney FC will have it at their backs instead. Bursting forward, Moody Najjar's got behind the line here, and he was behind the line because he was offside. Assistant on the near side flagging him there. Huslett launching it up top. Sorge wins it in the air, but it's fallen kindly here for Quintal, and he's moved it wide for Myron France. France puts a shot near post, and Soros had that covered, I think. Sydney able to recycle, but they still find themselves down a goal to nil here. Quintal tried to turn, but only ran into Isaac Dunzo. Got a little loose there. Camijo has to go forward with players around him, and does so well there with Tyrone Camijo. Just gets between McStay and Chalaki, and so well despite heavy pressure. And that's why he was part of the A-League and Asian Champions League 2 set up most recently with Tyrone Camijo. And there is Chris McStay putting on the skills himself. Looking for that long ball over the top to Gorowski, but it was a bit too heavy. With these Ilinden passes, they have to get them just right. It's quite a strong wind at their back, so it is going to really carry. Middleton keeps it for Kyle Shaw. To Jesus. Camijo. Good football by Sydney to move through midfield. Dunzo tries to temporarily stop Middleton. Moody Najjar helps him out, and they've won it back together. Chalakian head up play. And just skips along the turf a little bit there. Rain has stayed away, which is good news for us here. McStay charging forward, trying a shot from range himself. Najjar able to win it back and flicks a effort towards goal, but he was hoping for the best there. Now Ilinden are really starting to turn the screws, having a goal advantage. Now they've got to be careful here. Sydney FC with Yurashevsky lurking, and it's collected Chalakian, but still with Ilinden. Najar. Here is Alec Yurashevsky, deflected, and a good save by Gus Huffslett. Almost caught out there by the heavy deflection. He readjusted well, almost mid-air there from Gus Huffslett. And Sydney FC, they've stuck to their principles in playing out from the back, but a clearance from Gus Huffslett, which was onto the shoulder of Chalakian. And then Alec Yurashevsky, the ultimate beneficiary. Probably not the person you want in that situation, but they shut down the angle and got enough of a deflection that could help out Gus Huffslett with the save. Last corner that Ilinden had, they scored from. McStay to deliver. McStay, this time again towards Huffslett, and this time he gets more of a fist to it. And it's good keeping to get it away from any danger. McStay again, his deliveries have been very, very good so far, as you can expect from a player of his caliber and his experience. Here goes McStay. This time again, it's towards that back post area, and it's gone all the way in. Blake Rasciuto is claiming the final touch. It'll be him or McStay that get it, and it's almost a carbon copy of the first goal from Rockdale Ilinden. If Blake Rasciuto got a touch to that, it might have just been by the top of his hair. And again, it's a fantastic delivery from Chris McStay. And Blake Rasciuto, I think, will claim it. He's having a big chat to Kurt Ames about it. It's either that or the physicality in the box. And it's a rare... Not only is it a rare goal for Blake Rasciuto, but it's also a rare brace for him. He doesn't score too often. He's good for 2 or 3 in a season. He's well eclipsed that now with 4. And he's got a brace. Sydney FC now with 15 minutes to go in the first half. To attack and looking to get back into this game, but it's been just clinical work from Rockdale Ilinden. They're not usually known as a set-piece side necessarily, Ilinden, but that's where they've done their damage today. They've overtaken Apia as the competition's leading scorers over the last couple of weeks, which is quite an achievement considering how many goals Apia were piling on at the start of the year. And Sorge goes down. The advantage is played, but it wasn't forthcoming. Sorge back on his feet now after that challenge before. Elliott. Gorowski gets told to press on by Paul D. And now they'll press Huffslett. Sydney FC finding themselves in a corner created by Rockdale Ilinden. Kennedy just ran out of room and was well marshalled by Chalakian, who did well not to commit the foul. And for Ilinden, these 2 goals mean that they are the first team to hit the 40-goal mark this season. 40 goals in 15 games is just a staggering amount. Good turn by Camijo in the box. And Alec Yurashevsky still might be in the play here. Huffslett had to be careful. And had it not been for that vital touch, it would have been the easiest of tap-ins for Alec Yurashevsky. This Ilinden continue to score at this rate, averaging more than 2.5 goals a game at the moment. That's how many they're scoring. Looked into the box. Oh, it's going to fall kindly here for Brendan Chalakian. Good save again by Gus Hoofslet. It went onto the post as well. McStay cuts it back for Chalakian at the second attempt. And Sydney FC are able to avoid a third for now. But the pressure is really mounting on their goal, and they're not done just yet here, Ilinden. Gorowski, low-driven cross. Oh, it's off the frame of the goal from Chalakian. He's rattled the woodwork twice in the last 30 seconds. The first time a fingertip save from Hoofslet onto the post, and just then catching that top corner frame of the goal. And counting himself so unlucky there, the Ilinden number 10. Seven goals to his name this campaign, Brendan Chalakian. He's been as good as ever for Rockdale Ilinden in this starting 10 role. It's a role that carries a lot of burden, a lot of creativity. And it's a familiar position for Sydney FC with Irashevsky on the hunt. He's almost kept that in, dancing along the sideline. Might take this moment to update you from the scores around the grounds as we just get over halfway in this game. Apia have taken the lead against Sydney Olympic, also 30 minutes gone there. Jordan Segreto in the 8th minute. Meanwhile, Sydney United and St. George City are locked at 0-0. That one an important game for the top 6 as well. When you talk about teams that have rushed up the ladder in recent weeks, Sydney FC are one of them. St. George City, another one that was down in the bottom 4 not too long ago. Just goes to show how tight it is. We said there's only 4 points that separate 6th from 12th at the moment. Meanwhile, a head knock on the ground. Looks like it's Chris McStay that's dropped to the turf, the former Wollongong Wolf. His 9th start of the campaign. Chris McStay. 6th straight start as well. He's been good since coming into the starting fold. It's his 2nd stint at Rockdale, of course. And what a great 2nd stint it's been. A couple of years away with the Wollongong Wolves, now returning back as the clouds become a little bit more grey. Prospect of rain a little more menacing. May just be sprinkling a little bit outside at the moment. So McStay looks like he'll be alright to continue. Which is good news for Ilinden. They'll need him out there. They have Constable on the bench, which is a like-for-like replacement as the wind begins to blow even harder. Bit of wind, a bit of rain. A blustery old afternoon of football here in Rockdale. Ilinden have certainly come to play. 2 identical goals. I don't think you'll see 2 goals scored in such a similar manner too often. And now Juraszewski was thinking about getting in behind. For a moment he had a step on the Sydney FC back line, but they were able to close things up. Middleton. Kennedy gets past McStay. Shifts it wide for France. Sydney FC haven't seen too much of the ball in this area in a little while now, as now they can try and go. France linking up with Quintal. There is Moody Najjar, that time doing his defensive duties off the wing, as he's found a good ball forward for Gorowski if he can keep it in, but was asking a bit too much there of his young winger, Jordan Gorowski. Just 17 years of age. Coming into the first grade setup this season. He's done well. It's just his 3rd start, but he has a goal to his name. 7 appearances off the bench as well. Got a big goal last week against Manly, which helped his side walk away from Cromer Park with a point, despite the circumstances they found themselves in. They look pretty good value for 3 points right now, with the best part of 50-odd minutes still to play as McStay. Now Chalakian has to weave his way through a bit of traffic. Camijo is one of the defenders there, as is Tiago Quintal. Quintal looking for a way forward, finding a good option forward. Here is France. Checking back inside. Now he whips the ball in. It's deep towards De Jesus. Tries to beat his man and put a shot on, but it was always rising. And Nixoris didn't look too troubled. Juraszewski tried to link up with Gorowski. Such good experience for the young lad to get exposure to first grade football. NPL won first grade football as well at this age. Very rare outside of the academy setups like Sydney FC, which will have plenty of 17, 18-year-olds out there, sometimes even younger. As now France trying to put the skills on to create a bit of separation. Lovely back heel. Kennedy is in space to pick out a cross, but Sorge is able to avert the danger. Najjar, Juraszewski was looking to make a run forward by staying in his own half and staying onside. Temperature starting to drop a little bit with the added rain. And for those of you that may be unfamiliar with the box setup here at Ilinden, it's a roof that has plenty of holes in it. So any heavier than this and be a very awkward old afternoon up here. For now though, it's looking good. Ilinden are looking very good. Looking very comfortable with the lead, courtesy of those 2 set-piece goals from Blake Rashudo. Free kick taken quickly. Sydney FC in a hurry to try and get something going. Kennedy. France goes between 2 defenders, and it was won cleanly by the combination of Sorge and Elliott. Sydney FC having a bit more ball recently, but haven't been able to get the same level of chances that they had in the opening stages of this game. Harbas flicking it up, but that only invited McStay, and that's an easy whistle for Kurt Ems. Harbas going in a little late there. Goes in strongly and wins it. McStay looking down the line for Chalakian, but you can just see how quickly the ball moves with this wind. Jesus looking for Harbas, who, like Sydney FC in attack, has not had as much of it. Kennedy drifting inwards, as is Quintal. Oh, lovely pass by Quintal. Kennedy could bring it down onto his left foot. He was looking for a cross towards Harbas. Sydney FC still have the ball. Could be a late flurry of chances here potentially for the young academy side. A goal here would go a long way to kick-starting something on the other side of the break. 3.5 minutes. You think maybe a minute or so of extra time. Ilinden getting forward here. There's Alec Juraszewski, who's gone behind the Sydney FC defence. This is where he's dangerous. Alec Juraszewski, side netting. And it'll be a Sydney FC goal kick, much to the frustration. Camijo. And a bit of confusion there as to which way the throw was going. It's going to be with Ilinden in the end. Speranza. McStay had it taken off his toes there by Harbas. Kennedy will get to this ball ahead of Gorowski, and Sydney FC to make something of it. France, good turn to get past Elliott. McStay is joining in. Middleton. Camijo looking for a ball between the lines. Had a right idea with the pass. It was a tight avenue for him to try and work. He's got another opportunity this time. Floated effort into the box, and it's well dealt with by Ilinden. Juraszewski sent out over the sidelines, and Rockdale won't be in any particular hurry. There's a big gust of wind goes around the ground, and you can see Ilinden just happy to keep things as it is at 2-0. And I think Kurt Ams has just given them a bit of the hurry up. Elliott, third here would be a crucial blow for Rockdale, as 1 minute of time added on goes up from our fourth official. Shaw. Pass was deflected, which brought it down nicely for McStay, and he's looking wide, but Moody Najjar had come off his wing. And Shalakian. Najjar was looking for that pass out wide, and so Kurt Ams calls for half time. It's been a good start, all in all, by Rockdale Ilinden. Sydney FC came out in good spirits and had a few opportunities, but from there, some fantastic set piece play. Chris McStay finding the head of Blake Rashuda not once but twice from a similar delivery to give Rockdale Ilinden a 2-0 lead. So at half-time, they go into the break ahead. Will Constantinidis with you here. We'll see you back soon on the other side of this break. Welcome back to the second half of football here at the Ilinden Sports Centre. It's Rockdale who lead, courtesy of two unlikely goals, but perhaps not too unsurprising goals for Blake Rashudo. A couple with his head have Ilinden in front at the break. And there's a bit of work to do for Sydney FC as the rain begins to pour a little bit more here at pitch side. A bit of wind about as well. Both teams look unchanged to start the second half, so Kurt Hams gets us back underway. Sorry, Camijo. Wearing the effects of that challenge momentarily. Giorgio Esperanza flicks it in towards Rashudo. Down the line for Najar. Lockie Middleton doing well there, has to go back to his keeper. We saw Sydney FC persist with playing out from the back, and just like that moment there, Alec Yurashevsky is always hunting. And Rockdale were unable to fully capitalise on those sorts of mistakes, but they definitely reminded Sydney that they can't be too relaxed with the ball in their own penalty area. As there is Will Kennedy checking back inside. Lockie Middleton has Chalakian all over his back, and that attracted the attention of Kurt Hams. Now with the rain having been falling for about 20-30 minutes or so now, the pitch has got a bit of that extra zip about it, a synthetic surface. Make for a nice fast game. It was fast and physical in the first half. Both these sides not showing away, but Sydney FC will be disappointed with the fact that they conceded from two set pieces, two identical set pieces as well. Rockdale have had chances, but no more than what Sydney FC really had in the opening stages. Rockdale came to life a bit later in the half, but the first 10 minutes, Sydney were not too far away from scoring themselves. Deep cross in as De Jesus recognised there was no one behind him, so was not under any immediate pressure to clear the ball. The wind is really starting to pick up now. Hussler has to clear. A reminder that Sydney FC are the team that has the wind at their back in this half. Rockdale were able to benefit from that by way of a couple of goals, so we'll see if Sydney FC are able to score. They've been on a good run as of late, as Sorge goes in strong and goes in too late there on Harbas, and Kurt Hams is quick to pull him up for that. Have found the back of the net in the last 4 games, so to potentially go scoreless here would not just the rest of that scoring streak, as well as now the rain is really starting to fall. Free kick for Sydney FC. Whipped in as bodies flying around in the box here as eventually they clear the danger. Yurashevsky battling for it. There's a good free kick there for Sydney FC. As now Kurt Hams is telling Giorgio Esperanza just to take a couple steps backwards as Quintal is touch taken out of play, and Ilinden look to go quickly. Yurashevsky taking the throw there. Flicked over the top by Harbas. And that'll be easily for Nick Soros. Sorge. Oh, that's a nasty challenge there with Tara Kamija right in front of the Ilinden supporters. And you can see they enjoyed that one there, the Ilinden fans. Game has been physical throughout the entire game. It's no surprise now that challenges have started to fly in, especially with the added wind and rain and the conditions heightening the intensity. Sydney look to go quickly. Quintal, there is Rashudo and Sorge. Elliott. Rashudo sends it up into the sky. Brought down in midfield by Lockie Middleton as they try and keep it in. Hunter Elliott was at full stretch, but despite his best attempts, just ran out of room there. All flicked around the corner well. This will get Mara and France involved potentially, as sliding away to not just take it off him, but an inside a goal kick. That's good defending there from young Hunter Elliott. Continues his good work from the first half. That's a good challenge there by Jared Middleton, but Chalakian has picked up the scraps. Ilinden a 3v2 here. Alec Yurashevsky on the edge of the area. And well, you would have backed him to test the keeper there. Alec Yurashevsky, a man of his talents, but just up and under from 18 out. Sorge heads that forward for McStay. Left behind him though is Sydney FC. Next goal is absolutely crucial here, and they'll want to get it quickly. They were close towards the back end of the first half, but still Nick Soros has this clean sheet intact. De Jesus, that's going to really run along down to the corner, and it's going to have too much carry on it with the wind and the pitch as well. Paul Deeb wanting his side to play quickly. It's been a little while since Ilinden kept a clean sheet, just a couple of weeks ago, 4-0 against Sydney Olympic, and that was when they were at their blistering best, Rockdale Ilinden. They can really run it up on teams if they're not careful, and they've already put 2 past Sydney FC. Thinking about a third is Jordan Gorowski. So close. He's looked dangerous and very threatening throughout, Jordan Gorowski. Just missing that final touch at times, but he's getting into some very good positions, and he's definitely creating problems for Sydney FC. Kurt Ems is telling Blake Rashudo to take it. Najar tried to put it over his shoulder, as sent back. There has been a change that we weren't made aware of. It's Tay Headley who is out there on that left wing. He's replaced Mara in France. Now as Kamijo can go forward. Good pass wide to Will Kennedy, who's in a bit of space here to charge at the defence. Will Kennedy getting into the area, dropping it back for Headley. Oh, through the legs, Tay Headley. He's gotten to the byline here, and he's won his side a corner. And it's a corner that Ilinden were able to punish Sydney FC from twice. See if they'll be able to exact revenge in a similar manner. And now there's a bit of housekeeping for Kurt Amps to do. About 10 or so players inside that 6-yard area, all around Nick Saurus. Delivery is good and is right on Saurus, but it's over the bar. Wataru Kamijo's corner, just a little too much there. Much to the cheer of some Ilinden fans behind him. Stay battling on that sideline now. He looks to release centrally, but this might be a game where Alek Jurashevsky, a rare game, that he potentially goes without scoring. He's had a couple of chances, but a lot of Sydney's pressure has been on stopping him. And they've defended well in open play, to their credit, Sydney FC. It's just those two corners that'll be disappointing for them. He didn't score in his last game either against Manly. This could potentially be a rare back-to-back non-scoring outing for the Baker. And now there's a bit of confusion as to who's going to take this throw. Sydney FC exchanging it between a couple of players, as looks like Will Kennedy is on that far side with the intention of launching it into the box here. McStay, first defender, able to meet it. Kennedy, back to Kamijo. Quintal, good passes forward. Headley now, a good ball looking for Alan Harbas. And Sydney FC are up, claiming a penalty, but it was mostly from the bench in front of us rather than any of the players. There was a dangerous ball into Alan Harbas. Dunzo. Speranza. Looking for Moody Najjar, who might still be in the play here, had it not been for some quick touches by Zach DeJesus. McStay going in strongly and winning it cleanly. Chalakian. He's found it hard going in there, as Brendan Chalakian. Quintal. Oh, outside of the foot pass. That's inventive towards Alan Harbas, and the execution was near perfect from Tiago Quintal, and it's going to take a bit of that for Sydney FC to find the crucial goal that they desperately need now as we tick towards the hour mark. Meanwhile, Gorowski committing a foul. Going to ground. Saurus was under no direct threat. You could just see the wind combined with the spin of the ball. It went forward towards the halfway mark, and then it went about 5 meters backwards from there. And it looks like Sydney FC are going to go to their bench. No surprise, they're bringing on an attacking substitution. Matthias McAllister, the man being prepared. No one out of place. Sydney FC unable to link up in midfield. that sub will be coming soon. Meanwhile, just a bit of back and forth there over on that far side. Camijo sends it up towards Alan Harbas. Uses his frame to hold up the play and unleashes the ball out to this right-hand side. It's going to dribble out of play, but it'll be in a decent position. It's prevented his side from conceding a goal kick. Sydney FC can try and pressure Ilinden down this end of the pitch. Here is Blake Rashudo. The rain now starting to fall quite heavily here. Shaw brings it onto his chest calmly. Camijo. Dunzo beats him to the second touch. Chalakian. Now they can go forward here. Yurashevsky had already made his move, and great pass by Quintal to unleash Will Kennedy, bombing on from left fullback. Kennedy. Good defending by Hunter Elliott. And he's done an exceptional job this afternoon, young Hunter Elliott. Looks like that sub is coming now. Joe Lacey is off. He's found it difficult to impose himself on the game, Joe Lacey. That's how well Ilinden have been defending in midfield. That players like Lockie Middleton, Wataru Camijo and Joe Lacey, who have been so crucial to Sydney's great play over the last month, have found it difficult to make an impact. Meanwhile, Hunter Elliott is down and receiving some treatment. Again, you can see Sydney FC all around Nick Soros in that 6-yard area. Tay Headley standing over it. Meanwhile, Kurt Ams is taking up an unorthodox position almost behind the goal here, just to keep an eye on what is going on. You won't see referees do that too often, but when they're all around Soros, that's what he'll do, and in the end, Tay Headley's effort is seen over the bar. There's a bit of confusion. There's a second ball out there, and Ilinden will get it all the way back, and they can restart play once more. Soros. Oh, Braden Sorge is being pressured here by Harbas. Had to go quickly with the Sydney FC striker on his back, and that forces it out of play. So good pressing up front from Alan Harbas. Also didn't win the ball. He forced Ilinden into an error. Here is Shaw. Has to be careful with that bouncing ball, but does well and finds an even better pass to Zach de Jesus, who has space to roam on this right wing. Leaving it back for Tiago Quintal. Ilinden getting numbers in front of him. Quintal, low-driven shot, palmed away by Soros into the feet of Matthias McAllister, and it wouldn't quite sit for him. And so Ilinden are able to send it away for a corner. And Nick Soros again is going to be under heavy pressure here. Kurt Ams is right on the spot. And it goes over everyone, and Quintal's delivery a bit too heavy there. the hour mark. Just about 25 minutes to go here at the Ilinden Sports Centre, and Rockdale have really kept Sydney FC at bay, at an arm's distance as well. As McStay looking to potentially add another here. Alec Juraszewski is on the break, looking to cut it back. Gorowski had made his run a bit closer there. Sent forward up top, but Braden Sorge can calmly bring that down for Ilinden, and they can think about building another attack with him on the ball. Now he's forced long. That's not the first time that Harbas has forced that pass. Elliott has been able to keep that in there, but couldn't quite link up with Moody Najjar. McStay. Over the top. Good pass for Gorowski. He's on the back of his defender, and the referee saw that. Gorowski arms over the top of Lockie Middleton. Prosciutto launches it back forward after that goal kick as it comes down with Gorowski and Chalakian finding his way through traffic. Oh, and McStay just slipping up there. As I mentioned, that rain is really making a difference now. I'll quickly take a look at the scores around the grounds. Be Leichhardt still lead by a goal to nil over Sydney Olympic with half an hour to go. And Sydney United and St George also still locked at 0-0 with half an hour to go there up at Adensa Park. Camijo to potentially split Rockdale Ilinden here. The press is coming on Gus Huslett. Al Juraszewski again is not far away. Najjar looking at behind for McStay, but that's a well-timed challenge from Wataru Camijo, and he has ideas of sending it forward for the pace of Harbas. Alan Harbas looking to go at Braden Sorge, and that's good improvising on the ground there by Sorge. Last touch off Harbas. Looks like Ilinden will be going to the bench for the first time this afternoon. Najjar. Now that sub is coming. Ollie Pufflet. Meanwhile, Lockie Middleton has come off in place of Dylan Rose. I think that's Jordan Gorowski's afternoon done. He's worked hard again here, Jordan Gorowski, in just his first grade start this season. And after he was rewarded with a start after scoring against Manly, he's put in another great shift and gets a big high five. And no doubt some more wisdom from Paul D on the sideline. Definitely one to keep an eye on.
Number 18, Jordan Gorowski, coming off.
Juraszewski tried to keep it in as Kyle Shaw was there with him. Najjar has Jesus and Quintal with him there as it's going to fall into midfield. The bouncing ball, ooh, and now it's card coming on Dylan Rose there. The rain has gotten heavier and heavier. See the outstretched arm there. Just taking a look back on the stream, just an outstretched arm from Dylan Rose. Didn't necessarily mean to catch Chalakian in the face, but he was putting it out to shield the ball and stabilise himself, and inadvertently caught him, which I think is why it was a yellow rather than anything further. Meanwhile, Rockdale are on the attack. Najar is trying to keep this one in the corner, but Sydney FC do well to marshal him, and won themselves a free kick in the process. Here is Rashudo. Oh, late challenge potentially by Harbas, and yes, he's been whistled there. Set long up top by Rashudo. Moody Najar shows good vertical leap in the air. Was giving up a little bit of height against Kyle Shaw, but was able to win it. And now Najar is battling away, trying to get it to Juraszewski. Dunzo takes it off Headley, as now it's starting to pinball around in midfield. More physical challenges starting to fly in. And that's McStay there, just getting involved perhaps where he didn't quite need to. And Dylan Rose was on the ground, and McStay was trying to kick it away from him as Ilinden looked to be preparing another change, potentially. Shaw looking to split the gap down the line as Rashudo goes sliding in. And does well to keep that nice and tidy there. Sydney FC could go short here. Quintal has Tay Headley alongside him. Chalakian is the man marking the two of them. Now they work at Quintal. Tries to go between the two Rockdale defenders, but they shut the gap on him there. Camijo. Back post, Kyle Shaw is in the mix. That's where he was looking, but it's fallen here for Pufflet. Well, two players go sliding in there. That's a crisis potentially averted. Always a bit dangerous when that happens, especially in the wet here. Quintal. Lofted ball into the area. Back post, Hunter Elliott. McStay. Has to be careful with McAllister there, as Harbas has won it in a good position. Now Matthias McAllister goes down, but Kurt Am says there was enough of the ball in that from Chris McStay. Chalakian just holds up his play momentarily, and Ilinden can be a bit more patient here. McAllister is trying to press, but there was no one really in support of him, and that means that Ilinden won't have too much trouble finding Braden Swords out the other side. Juraszewski. Dunzo. McStay back to Rashudo, and you can just see Ilinden are happy to just knock it about at the moment. They're usually known for playing quite quickly, keeping that up-tempo style, and they have done that, as Hunter Elliott is in a foot race to try and get there. He's done really well to keep that in. Eventually taken out by Dylan Rose, getting past Juraszewski, who was keen on winning it back, looking to add to the tally. A third here would seal it for Ilinden. Meanwhile, Sydney FC, a goal could be what they need to kickstart this late comeback. Cut in by DeJesus, and Rashudo is there again. He has been everywhere defensively to go with his two goals. Juraszewski will try and latch onto this. Here is Shaw. Camijo getting away from Juraszewski, avoiding any direct danger. Tay Headley. Swings it wide to Kennedy. Ollie Pufflet ahead of him. Here is Headley. Quintal. Sydney FC moving the ball well, but it's been that cutting edge that has evaded them. And that was the right idea there from Headley, but just chipped it over the top. Saurus will take a little bit of time off the clock. Maybe not quite time for the dark arts just yet, but still nevertheless always good to take the sting out of the attack. 15 minutes of regulation time. You'd think we'd have a decent amount of stoppages. There's been a couple of injuries, some substitutions as well in the second half. But time is running out for Sydney FC to make a move and keep this undefeated streak alive, and also keep their scoring streak alive. When they were down the bottom in the early part of the season, it was scoring goals that they found difficult. They were generating a lot of chances, to their credit. It was just putting them away, and that's what they've been able to correct over this last 5-game run they've been on. Rockdale have mostly kept them shut out for the majority of the game here. Harbas. Dunzo. Jalakin can go quickly as Camijo is whistled for the foul. And Camijo has to be careful here. He's on another yellow. And now he's going to receive a bit of an extended chat here from Kurt Ames. And Kurt Ames, I think, has told him in no uncertain terms to walk away and to stop talking for fear of another yellow card coming. And the Ilinden players were quick to remind Kurt Ames that Camijo's on another yellow. Speranza. Deep cross looking for Ollie Pufflet. It will bounce kindly for him on the edge of the area. Chalakian looking for an inventive pass forward as Alek Yurashevsky had his back to goal rather than making the run in behind. A rare moment that you'll see Chalakian and Yurashevsky not on the same wavelength. See, Ilinden are in no hurry at the moment, knowing they're over 10 minutes plus stoppages away. Looks like that third substitution is coming here for Ilinden as McStay launching it up top towards Yurashevsky. He's headed it wide for Najar. And Kurt Ames saw that push. Chalakian is looking up as Yurashevsky is calling for the ball on the wing here, and Ilinden perhaps sensing there's no need to turn over possession quite as quickly. They can afford to keep the ball. Don't need to take as many risks up top as Speranza easily trips up Quintal, and now that substitution is coming. So Lockie Constable into the game. Good to see him get an involvement. It'll be out on the wing. Played mostly as a central midfielder throughout the season. That's what they've needed him to be. He's a very versatile player, Lucky Constable. He did an exceptional job as part of that pairing with Dunzo in the early part of the season, and now he's back on his more favoured wing. Meanwhile, Zach DeJay is just a bit too heavy on the touch there. Saurus. We'll take it over to the other side, that preferred side. Potentially looking for Yurashevsky up top here with no Moody Najar. They've lost a bit of height in the front three, but they've gained a bit with Ollie Pufflet replacing Jordan Gorowski. One in the air by McStay. Up goes Pufflet. Down for Chalakian, who tries to cushion it for him, and Ilinden pitch just half a metre too narrow there for him. And Yurashevsky has won it in a good position here. Could potentially think about adding a third. Alec Yurashevsky was shut down there by Kyle Shaw. Got across quickly to make up for Sydney FC's giveaway, which invited Yurashevsky. Camijo had an outstretched leg, couldn't quite get to it. Here is Dylan Rose. Quick feet by Camijo. Jared Middleton shifting it wide for Kennedy. There's an outstretched leg left there by Pufflet. Camijo puts that wide for Jesus, who's seen a bit of the ball in this position. Camijo. Yurashevsky looking to get in behind. He's got the pace to beat Kyle Shaw, but does he have the extra support? Pufflet is getting into the box. Chris McStay is joining him. McStay on the edge of the area, looking for that bottom corner. And he's rattled the woodwork the third time. The woodwork has been struck by Rockdale Ilinden. This could have been more. Chris McStay had one thing on his mind. Wasn't thinking about finessing it, was just thinking about powering it into that bottom right corner. And was so close to doing so. Harbas has Blake Rashudo on his back, but is able to get around him, and now he has Tiago Quintal up ahead. Quintal looking for a pass inside. Harbas is the man he finds. He turns, he swivels and shoots. Good save by Saurus, but it's spilled for Tay Headley. And Sydney FC have a vital goal back and have plenty of time to think about getting an equaliser potentially as well. And now they'll make a double change with that in mind. So Kyle Shaw will hobble off. He could be carrying a knock. Meanwhile, Joe Kalisic will replace him in a like-for-like swap at the back.
Goal for Sydney FC.
Tyler Williams
82nd minute.
also out there
Number 9.
in place of Will Kennedy. So like-for-like swaps. Oh, that's the first involvement of the game there for Tyler Williams, and he's going to go straight into the book inside 10 seconds for an aggressive challenge on Chalakian. And there's still plenty of time, as mentioned, for Sydney FC to mount a comeback. 5 minutes of... Not 5 minutes, rather 7 minutes of regulation time, plus you'd think at least 3 or 4 of stoppages owing to the substitutions and injuries we've had in the second half. And Tay Headley has got Sydney FC in with a chance here. Their scoring streak continues, but will their undefeated run? Meanwhile, they'll have to worry about this free kick. McStay. Only Camijo is in the wall, everyone else in the box for Sydney FC. McStay, a good ball towards the penalty area. Seen away by Sydney. They'll have to be careful they don't get too overzealous in attack and eventually give away a third. Rockdale have shown they're capable of that. Can maybe count themselves a bit unlucky not to have a third goal with how many times they've rattled the woodwork. Rashudo. Header goes back towards Sorge. Constable touches a little heavy, which means Sydney FC will take the throw. To Jesus, tells Quintal to leave it. There is Harbas. Looks like a substitution could be coming in the next out for either side. Meanwhile, Rockdale are on the hunt here, and Pufflet just left it behind at the vital moment. The press almost paying off. Constable getting through a couple of defenders. And Kamisha says that he'll get that out of there. You can just see the bounce that skipped along the turf out to Saurus. Harbas was maybe in the play for a moment. Bounce of the ball combined with the wind took it away from him. Middleton. Now Ilinden will certainly look to take more time off the clock. Saurus in no rush by any means, knowing there's just a few minutes of regulation time plus stoppages. Sydney FC still have, you'd think, maybe 1 or 2 chances is what they'll get at this. They've got a good throw here. There is McStay in midfield. Chalakian does well to turn and unleash Pufflet. Yurashevsky is ahead of him. He looks to slice through the defence, but was far too close to Gus Hoofslet. Rose gets past Chalakian and goes through Pufflet. Kalisic. Sydney FC looking to go quickly. Harbas turns Sorge, and now they can get forward, but McStay is tracking back well. Shudo gets it away from immediate danger. Kamijo goes up with Chalakian for it. Kamijo's the man that wins it, and he beats the second defender, but he couldn't quite beat the third before it's hoofed up by Hunter Elliott. Now Yurashevsky is in the play here after an error, but well won back by Tyler Williams. A reminder, he's on that yellow card after being freshly substituted. Good clean defending by Blake Rashudo. Speranza potentially might think about going towards the corner here. Rockdale Ilinden. Dunzo's on the ball. He looks for Speranza and finds him. Chalakian. Ilinden potentially looking for a third, which would be the dagger. And he got to the byline, deflected out of play. And Rockdale Ilinden will have a corner. And so just waiting for confirmation of how much added time there will be. Just a couple minutes of regulation time left. That'll be the big question on Sydney FC fans and their players' minds, is how much additional time will they have to try and create one more chance. McStay, well, he has 2 assists from the corner, maybe even a goal, depending on whether Blake Rashudo got a touch to the second one. They don't quite crowd as many towards Hoofslet, this time. McStay. Ball in towards the near post. Seen him away at the first attempt by Tiago Quintal. It will be an Ilinden throw. And of course, they are in no rush to take it. Constable. There is Chalakian. Going to ground in the corner with sky blue shirts draped around him. For Rockdale, more importantly, it'll stay with them and stay away from their goal down the other end of the pitch. Chalakian finds his way through 2 defenders, and here is Constable. Might think about going to the corner. Able to keep it in as well. Ilinden are doing a good job of keeping it on the sideline without going out, and it'll stay their throw. McStay. Now it's his turn to head to the corner. Chalakian has had a go, as has Constable. He's done well there, McStay, and he's on his side a throw. And this is exactly what Rockdale Ilinden want right now, just keeping the ball in this end of the field. And now they can think about potentially putting one towards goal. Dunzo, instead they look back towards the corner, but it's been picked off as Dunzo goes in for the clearance. Last touch off the boot of Wataru Kamijo. And so we'll get confirmation of 3 minutes of time added on. Pufflet using his physicality well as Chalakian heads for that familiar corner. It's going to be a free kick for Ilinden, and perhaps unsurprisingly they're all going towards the corner here to try and play short. Constable poked forward, but only as far as Brendan Chalakian, and he's in no hurry to look towards the box either. Now Sydney FC have won it back, and they can think about going forward, but they've pinned themselves so far deep because of the corner. They just cannot get out of this area of the pitch. It's been down here for the last 5 minutes or so. Ilinden have done very well in that regard, which has been frustrating from a Sydney FC perspective. And now they've conceded a foul here, Ilinden, which means Sydney FC will be able to launch this one up the other end. Hoofslut goes long, but it's only onto the head of Hunter Elliott. Doesn't quite head it forward, which means Matthias McAllister is interested. Eventually Dunzo gets a better purchase on the ball. Meanwhile, Paul D and Ilinden are preparing another substitution. Pufflet going forward, and now he looks down the line. Yurashevsky giving something to chase, and that'll roll away. But still, Ilinden have kept it down away from their own goal, and now they'll head to the bench to add a bit more solidity, some fresh legs to try and see out the game. This result will mean that Ilinden will go to 31 points in second position. Ahead on goal difference of the Northwest Sydney Spirit. They'll only be 5 points behind the Marconi Stallions. So substitution is coming now. Alec Yurashevsky, there'll be no goals today for him. This team haven't needed him. They've done very, very well, and he'll receive the applause of the fans on the far side. He'll be replaced with just a couple minutes left. James Nikolovsky. So a striker for a defender. Very unsurprising given the state of the game. Can't be too much more than a minute or so remaining. Floated in towards the box. Soros is there, and he knew he was not under any immediate pressure, and so he's let it roll away for a goal kick, and that's well received by the Ilinden fans around the ground, and they've found their voice in the rain. They've really persevered through the tough conditions, the Ilinden fans. It's not a fully covered grandstand in some parts, especially down where the most passionate fans are, as Alec Yurashevsky thanks them. And Nick Soros goes into the book. Could still have a bit of time left. He looks immediately for the sideline, and it'll stay up because of the wind. McStay wins it in the air. There is Pufflet. He can go forward. Sydney FC win it back. This might be their last chance. Instead, it's the end of the game. Kurt Ams calls for full time on a wet and windy afternoon here at the Ilinden Sports Centre. 2 first half headed goals from the corner from Blake Rashudo are the difference. Chris McStay picking up identical assists. Sydney FC made a late flurry in the game. 83rd minute goal from Tay Headley was enough to make it a tight finish, but Ilinden deserved winners in the end, and they return to second spot on the ladder. That added goal difference will certainly help. A great Sunday afternoon of football here. On behalf of Football New South Wales, we hope you've been enjoying the game on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. I've been Will Constantinides. It's goodbye for now, and we'll see you back soon next weekend.
Simico Partners Accounting, MPL Customs and